TPR.
Everyone, before we begin, quick message. Support for this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the best men's below the waist grooming. They've recently launched their Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package 4.0. They sent it to us. Check out episode 142, where Sakhir and I go through the products they sent us, including the lawnmower, the weed whacker. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TPR if you're in North America, Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. You can use code TPR and get that 20% off. Like I mentioned, they sent us their Performance Package 4.0, and that included their Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, ear, nose trimmer. They even had a t-shirt, boxers. It was a great bag that they sent us to keep all the stuff in. The products are waterproof, well constructed. The Weed Whacker has a light, so definitely do check those out. And a reminder, get 20% off and free shipping with the code TPR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping. Unlock your confidence and use the right tools for the right job with Manscaped. And now, our episode with Marium Hosein. Before we begin, bit of a longer episode, as you can see with the episode duration. So the chapters, broken it down as always for you, pick and choose whatever you want to listen to. This was a great chat, somebody I'd been looking to speak to for a while. Lots of good advice, messages, experiences if you are a content creator yourself, or if you are interested in the lives and work and careers and concerns of content creators in and outside Pakistan. Thank you very much to Mariam for joining us, and link to her very popular, very famous Instagram page is below. Hopefully she'll be back in the future. But before that, episode 143, Mariam Hosein.
No, I have never ever done a I've always, if it's been an interview, it's always been written.
Right.
So I always double check it by like a couple of people
Yeah,
who are
yeah.
like, "यार, ये मेरा आंसर पढ़ लो
No, it's
और
good.
उसमें जो बड़े वर्ड्स हैं उनको इंसर्ट कर लो क्योंकि मुझे बड़े वर्ड्स नहीं आते हैं."
Yeah. If you want, आप इसमें बड़े words भी डाल दें, हम subtitles में we'll
हाँ
make sure.
हम ना बस we'll just do Google
Yeah,
all the time.
नहीं
So
नहीं
no, I've
बस
never done one before.
well, अब इसके बाद line लगी होगी, I'm sure.
I
Yeah.
highly doubt it, but we
So
can
where are you in? I mean, you don't have to give any details if you don't want to,
Oh
but
no, I have no issues. I think अब सभी को पता है कि मैं गांव में रहती हूँ. I moved to the US 10 years ago, and it's sort of surreal to even say that because it just doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. And I live in a very small town in southern Illinois. It's called
Okay.
Carbondale.
okay.
And I think people find that very surprising that I live in a very small town because there's so much unknown about being a foreign medical grad.
Right.
And after you finish training, like what does that mean for you after that? You know,
Yeah.
लोगों को people think that, okay, you're a surgeon
Yeah.
and you must be in really like, you know, everybody must want to give you a job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you still have a green passport, you know, and that becomes really difficult. So I think it's hard for people to understand why I live in such a small town. My husband's doing his waiver over here.
Okay.
So waiver is basically when you work for an underserved community in the US and you work for a couple of years because उनका एक time stamp होता है. And once you do that, then basically the hospital is sponsoring you. And they put in then your green card paperwork, and then from there onwards, if you know you want to leave, then you can.
Yeah. Ittifaqan, I know this because mere mamu and eventual mamani were also doctors in Chicago, and they did this waiver thing by moving to Iowa, where they live now. So तो आपका जो मोहल्ला है, इत्तेफाकन the wider मोहल्ला of Illinois and Iowa से मैं I have some awareness of this.
And you know, it's not even like waivers are only for in the medical profession.
Yeah.
When we got into figuring out post residency what's going to happen, post training, we were like, oh, इतने सारे waivers होते हैं, उसके भी इतने types होते हैं, and मतलब line लगी हुई है for how many of those waivers get, because they are allotted per state.
Yeah. Quotas होते
And
हैं.
then first state उसका quota जब खत्म हो जाता है,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're done. And then it's not to say that only doctors will get it. They're like artists and musicians and other people who are also in line for it. So jitni bhi, I mean, we exhausted every single area of, figuring out how this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so that brings me to why I live in Carbon Gate in Southern Illinois.
But how long have you been here where you are now? Like US में 10 साल हो गए. Has it all been here?
No. So we started off in Providence in Rhode Island, on the East Coast. And then 2 years there. Then I lived 2 years. Then we lived 4 years in New Orleans, in Louisiana.
Right.
And then we moved to Omaha, Nebraska.
Salim, you're hitting the corners.
I know. West Coast nahi gaye. But so then we did the Midwest, which was Omaha, Nebraska, and then we stayed there for a year. Salim finished his minimally invasive bariatric training there. And then we've been here for 2.5 years, almost 3 in August, yeah. And it feels like we've lived here forever.
Yeah. और उससे पहले अगर हम आपकी हिस्ट्री में जाते जाएं तो you moved from Karachi or
yeah, so my dad was in the army, and Karachi was always home base.
Right.
And Karachi was always where, my dad's family was from. My mom grew up there. My mom's side is Punjabi, so I have all my, both sides of family who live there. And once my dad retired, he wanted to retire in Karachi.
Okay.
And so that's where, if you ask me where I'm from, it's there. But I feel very Awami.
Right. Okay. That's I don't know if that's the word, but
See, what did I tell you?
Yeah.
I feel like, I've lived everywhere in Pakistan in terms of, the smaller stations, the larger stations.
Yeah.
And so that kind of makes me feel like, yes, I'm from Karachi, but I have such strong roots in Pindi. And इसलिए मेरे cousins में और मेरे friends में मेरा nickname Pindi boy है, because in reality I am a total Pindi boy.
I get that vibe. Yeah, because you're not like in the best way.
So I feel like I have a lot of roots based everywhere. Mostly in Punjab.
Okay. Yeah. That comes. So you moved around a lot as a child. Okay. So आपने पूरा पाकिस्तान देखा.
Yes, and at the time I just it was horrible because you have to change schools every year and a half. And, but the good part was that we went from APS to APS.
Right.
Not rarely did we go to like a Beacon House city school system, because the APS there either it didn't exist or it just wasn't good. And my mom made it a priority कि जिस school में वो पढ़ाएंगी उसी school में हम जाएंगे.
Oh, she was a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that sucked.
Okay. Right.
Get away with anything.
Yeah.
So the good part of being in APS was that everybody knew that this is very limited. So ज़्यादा दोस्ती नहीं करो.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it for what it is.
Right.
हम एक साल दोस्त रहेंगे, फिर मिले तो मिले. And what was funny was हम हर कुछ साल बाद इकट्ठे एक और स्कूल में होते थे.
Also, the other kids were also moving around. Because postings
we were all army kids, right?
Right.
So अगर किसी का बाप उस वक्त colonel है और my dad was a major, so at some point उनके daddy would be Janelle and my dad would be the brigadier. So we would all meet one of the other again. So it was, you're on this awkward walk where you just keep backing into each other.
I thought we said goodbye, but aap to phir aa gaye.
Yeah. So, that was, I mean, it sucked, but it was also, I think it made me who I am.
Sure. You can, roll with the situation. Like you moved around 4 times पिछले 10 साल में अमेरिका में.
Yeah, and funny thing is, मैं हमेशा, I would tell my parents, मैंने कभी किसी आर्मी ऑफिसर से शादी नहीं करनी.
Right.
मैंने कभी ये लाइफ ना खुद रहनी है, ना अपने बच्चों को देनी है. So my mother laughs all the time and she goes, लेकिन eventually तुम्हारी आर्मी ऑफिसर से ही शादी हुई है.
Yeah.
But I had it better because मेरे पास तो बैटमैन होते थे. मेरे पास फिर भी कहीं ना कहीं स्टाफ होता था, तुम तो अकेली
Yeah.
have to do everything. So बड़े बोल नहीं बोलने चाहिए, because I literally got married into a exact same situation where we were just nomads.
Yeah. Yeah. But then does that, do you think, it's a weird thing that you're saying this because and it's a weird place to go so early in the conversation, but
Yeah.
where do you feel at home? Is there one place or is it just where your people are?
I think now it's just become where Salim is and my kids are.
Right.
And that's very odd for me to say, because I always thought home would be for me on the East Coast.
Okay.
And that was very early on in moving here. I moved to Louisiana and I was like, oh my God, I don't fit in here at all. You know, this is massive culture shock. And
Right.
if I look at it, I think I am best based in the East Coast, because apne kisam ke log, you know, community, the Pakistani community is very similar to how Salim and I think.
Huh.
And
Louisiana has desis?
it does,
Okay.
but very old, settled, established. Like I'm talking 50, 60
Right.
years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So they are settled there and they have their businesses and their homes, and their children got married to people in the same community. So it's a very tight knit, well established community that's been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
Again, a community which is very difficult to tap into also because of
Yeah.
how established it's been. And medical communities are then again different. You know, everybody knows the struggle and
Yeah.
everybody kind of relates to you at some point. But coming back to your question, I just never felt like I belonged in Louisiana.
Mm.
It was actually an unbelonging, or is that even a word? See, this is why I get
It is
people.
now. हम बात कर देंगे. Huh. We'll get it registered.
It's an not feeling like I belonged is where I realized that the place I most belonged was the place I'd make for us.
Right.
You know, I would have to make the effort,
Yeah.
along with my husband, who was absolutely willing to as well. He wanted nothing more than for me to feel settled.
Mm.
And I feel like that was hard on him because he was also in a very difficult residency. But because the two of us felt so deeply about figuring out what the next step is going to be, that now I feel like my belonging is just wherever, you know, my kids, my dog, and my husband is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I asked because it's this weird situation that you are in also, that I am also in, because like I was mentioning के बचपन दुबई में गुजरा, फिर पाकिस्तान चले गए,
Yeah.
फिर यूएई चले गए, फिर आयरलैंड आ गए, बीच में कहीं गया मैं तो शिकागो गया. तो now there's no place where I'm like बस यार कराची में जो feeling है ना, that feeling is nowhere. Like it's just like जहाँ, you know, your friends are, wherever that is. Because I went to Dubai and I was like, हाँ ठीक है, but I don't feel like I'm from here. You
Exactly.
know? Yeah.
Exactly. I'll always feel that way about Karachi. I'll always feel like I belong, but at some point I know that it's going to end.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be over, and I need to get back home.
Yeah.
And home is wherever Salim and the kids are. And for me now, Karachi is just a very, very lovely vacation, which I get to spend with people who I love.
Yeah. Abhi, when I went to Karachi after a long time, January, May, so I got that feeling. But it was like I did that thing. Maybe I can move back. You know, ho sakta hai. Yeah. But then my friends who were living there were like, "Bro, tum pagal ho jaoge, mat aana." Don't you
My
dare.
friends said the exact same thing to me. Like, you know, we would love for you to come back, but when I look at how much I need to micromanage other people in my life, I can't micromanage myself.
Yeah.
I can't micromanage my kids or my husband or even my dog. How am I going to micromanage so many people in my life? And, you know, right now, that's not where I want to be.
Yeah. Because Pakistan is like,
look at all the other perspectives of Pakistan, and then you're like,
yeah, Pakistan is like a whole situation in and of itself. Ke matlab,
right.
you know.
And the problem is us expats, and I've had such a hard time coming to this conclusion. And I keep checking myself. I need to stop romanticizing Pakistan.
Yeah.
I need to stop romanticizing the bun kebab, the familiarity,
Yeah.
the Vabda. It it's not kind or polite to anybody who's living there and struggling with those things every single day.
Vabda में क्या romanticizing है?
Quick,
I thought I missed like a key factor.
it was just like, this weekend I was in St. Louis and I happened to have said Vabda
Right.
in the science center to Salim, and later Salim said to me, I haven't heard that term in so long. तो वो अंदर का पंडी बॉय कभी कभार निकल आता है.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm not doing anybody a service by romanticizing it so much, not even to myself, because it's making me look at it with very rose tinted glasses, and I need to take those off.
Yeah, and it's sort of probably, if one is fixated on something where they are not, that means you might also be distracted from where you are in the moment, है ना?
Absolutely. And this trip, I don't know for you, when you came back home, I think I haven't been to Pakistan in December in 10 years, because it's always been so expensive to go back at that time. Right? Ticket itni महंगी होती है. This time going back and seeing how absolutely wild Karachi was in December. I can't even say post-pandemic, because that's when the numbers were the highest.
Yeah.
Was insane to me. I was like, yaar, ye to roz matlab pyar hona, party, mehndi, sab mulk se aaye hue hain. Matlab, it just felt like, it was just this big vacation you were all on.
Yeah.
And so coming back from that was so difficult.
Right.
I genuinely feel like coming back into Siberia was for me, like, I had to take 2 weeks off social. I was like, peace out. I think I'm drowning. I got slow. There is I cannot put out anything mentally or physically right now on social, because I just feel like I'm in a stage of recovery.
Did you go to Pakistan after a while?
No, actually, it's embarrassing to say for somebody who cries so much about not going home. I went back in the summer after 4 years. And then in December, I was going to go back anyways. My cousin was getting married. So I went back again. And then the trip I went in the summer, Salim and I had to go to the embassy to get ourselves restamped. Salim ka visa aa gaya, mera nahi aaya. So
you got stuck?
I got stuck.
Oh.
And that's not the first time that's happened. If you look at Salim and my history of visa issues, it's been like this the beginning of our marriage. So I got stuck. And I was not supposed to get stuck in Pakistan for that long. That was supposed to be my very short 5-week trip. And it became like a 12-week trip.
Wow. Achha, that's an extension.
It was very long. The kids were out of school. Salim was handling everything over here. And so I came back, I think, middle of September, and I was back there in November.
Bas. Sahi. But this is, you mentioned coming back to the US and socials wali baat. To ek zabardast mujhe segue mil gaya, because Instagram and social media is how I discovered Marium Hosein, because usse hum jante to nahi ek dusre ko.
Right.
And
that's right, I did not ask him to do a podcast with me.
Nobody has yet asked me to do one. Koi pooch le, please.
मैं line लगाती हूँ.
Yeah, but so that's how I discovered you. And when did that begin, your
social media
presence on social media? Because when I came around to what you were doing, it was like, I don't know, 70,000-80,000 log to the Instagram pe. I don't know kitne hain abhi, but there were quite a few. And within this past year, a lot more happened, where in my story, in my eyes, the story ends with you actually showing up in like a proper TV ad campaign where Marium is cooking and there's some guy and there's like, oh shit, ye kya hua? I was like, all right. So where does this begin?
It's like that for me as well. Believe me, it was pretty shocking for everybody in my family too. I started social media after very long deliberation. It wasn't like, oh, chalo.
Yeah.
It took me so long to and even when I started, I wasn't sure what I was doing. By the way, really not sure every single day what I am doing.
Right.
People make content calendars.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have,
yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing every single day. Not joking. The only
Huh.
things in my calendar are if there's a sponsored something that's supposed to go up or like this meeting. Other than that, every day is fluid.
Right.
So I started in 2019, right before the pandemic.
Right.
Um, and I think sort of for me, my life was just starting to feel like that life that I envisioned when Salim would start his job off as being an attending. So both my kids were out of the house the whole day.
Mm.
And for me, for almost 6 years, I had both kids at home. I was the sole person them looking to for anything. And this time, Mikhail was in school full time. Leila was in school full time. And I thought, like, this thing that I've been really thinking so much about, do I want to do it? And I just one day, a friend tagged me and I got all these like followers. And I said, okay, why not? So that's when
Mm.
it started, 2019, right before the pandemic. And it's funny that you say that you saw me then with so many people. I think इतने लोग मेरे पेज पे इसलिए आए because of my mother.
Okay.
She's she's absolutely wild
Okay.
on my socials.
Right.
She's the kind of person who will tell me straight to my face, तुम यहाँ पे खाना खाने आती हो, खाओ पियो and then fuck off.
Right. Right.
She said that.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of people figured out through my stories that I was in Pakistan, and a lot of people figured, a lot of people got to know what it is I come from.
Mm.
My backbone, my bones, my parents, and
Mm.
and a glimpse into like my in-laws' life, and so I feel like that's where I think people figured out a little bit more about me, and
Mm.
that's it's been really a privilege to be able to share that part of my life with them.
Right. And you said that you put a lot of thought into this. So it's not like you had like a casual Instagram account which ekdam se people started approaching you. It was
Yeah,
like a considered approach.
yeah. I really
Mm.
thought about, do I want to put my family,
Mm.
myself out there? Initially, it was just going to be me. It was just going to be, I love cooking.
Right.
It's just going to be recipes, and अगर कभी कोई बच्चों की चीज दिखा दी, cute shoot, something like that, that would be it. But I really thought for a long time, as old as Leila was at the time, 6 years,
Mm.
do I want to do this? Am
Mm.
I brave enough to do it? Because it's very
Yeah.
brave to put any part of yourself out on social media. It takes a lot of courageousness to show up.
Yeah, I think ek to khair, it's people perhaps in our generation who put this much thought into it. Because
Correct.
the younger generation who's grown up with the internet, unke liye to it's like, yeah, this is something that we
Yeah.
all just do.
But it all comes very easy to them. You see,
Yeah,
make
yeah.
content. I look at younger people's content and it comes. I'm not trying to take away from the fact that they don't work hard, but
Mhm.
like it's it's easier for them to do it. They're so fresh, and
Yeah,
it's so like I think for me, when I had to learn how to edit, I had to really look up ये कैसे करते हैं, लोग
right.
कैसे आज तक एक ट्रांजिशन नहीं बनाई, नहीं करना आता है, ऐसे 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 करके
Yeah.
आप और लगे नहीं करना आता है.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are so creative, like they are on it,
Hmm. But
but it's
then,
really hard for me.
so when do you start? This is just in late 2019, just before the pandemic.
Yeah,
Um,
so 2.5,
2.5 years.
yeah,
What
2.5.
happens? So you started shuru se with the purpose of this is sort of like a business venture for you,
Oh,
Pir?
not at all, not at all. I think for me, it just started off as a means of just being creative.
Right,
I
right.
felt like that part of my identity was sort of buried very deep
Huh.
within raising a family and
Sure.
moving a family and being this sort of anchor
Huh.
during the entire process of Salim becoming a surgeon.
Yeah, because ये भी is like किसी super full-time job से कम काम तो नहीं है ये.
Right. And
हाँ.
you sort of don't realize how much you take on as the emotional baggage. Physical तो है ही, लेकिन emotional का आपको इतना ख्याल नहीं होता कि oh, emotionally I have to be like the mahal creator in the house.
Yeah.
And ये जो term है ना mahal creator,
Yeah.
ये बड़ा tough है क्योंकि रोज आप माहौल नहीं ला सकते हैं.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like where your own whatever mahal is in your mind, that can't affect
Your
what's
mahal in
being.
your mind is chaos.
Yeah.
So that to bring sort of like a dal chawal peaceful mahal.
Yeah.
So for me it was just being creative, and I just really felt like that part of my life got buried with childbirth and moving, and I just thought, okay, I love cooking. I think I'm good at it, and I'd love to maybe put it out there. As for followers and count and something, even now, by the way,
Yeah.
wasn't like followers milenge yaar, phir deals milengi, and brands आपके पास आएंगे. कभी नहीं, अभी भी नहीं.
Yeah.
मुझे बहुत मुश्किल लगता है to go and I've never done it.
Right.
To ask somebody, I think I'm good.
Right.
And this is my CV. And I love the opportunity to work with you. I find it really hard to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You should do it. So no, I did not think of it as a business. I literally just thought of it as this is my creativity being exercised, and it's something for me. And I want to do it because I feel like ये चलता जाएगा, बच्चों को बड़ा. लेकिन अगर आप भी अपने लिए कुछ नहीं करेंगी तो आप हमेशा वंडर करती रहेंगी, is this something that I could have done, or
yeah. अभी पता नहीं, I was saying to somebody के I don't want to be like 60 and then be like there are opportunities that I now cannot pursue क्योंकि वक्त गुजर गया. Because that happens, right? There's so many things that after a while time ho sab kuch ho but waqt nahi hai, that you pass that.
I just didn't want that to happen, because I'm somebody who, as much as I tell other people to believe in themselves and just go out there and say it and do it, it's taken me a long time to believe that for myself. And I knew that, and my husband tells me all the time, you're the last person to believe in what you do. And it's absolutely true. I think वो जो एक grounded रहना, और इतना grounded रहना कि अपने आप को
नीचे ground से भी नीचे
आप कुछ कर सकते हैं. So he always tell me like, why aren't you just doing it? So what, you'll fail.
Yeah.
So that for me was like,
and it started then with the food related content.
Yeah, I started with food related content, and it just sort of delved into a little bit of sharing about parenting. I remember categorically Mikhail was going through extensive dental work at that time, and I was feeling very I was mom guilting myself because of why he had to go through that. And I remember being in this space one day, and I just said that, like, I'm very stressed out today. Mikhail's going to go for a dentist appointment, and I know he just had one a couple of months ago where he said he needs extensive dental work. And that was very different for me because I was just sort of making that shift to personal.
Yeah.
Very personal. And the amount of messages, I'll never forget. I think I was at 2,500 followers at that time. I'll never forget the amount of messages that came in support of, and so many people asking what they should do. And that's when I think it sort of clicked for me that, this is now becoming a place where maybe talking about your wins or your fails or just life is very therapeutic for you. Because I was getting that feeling like I'm not alone.
Right.
There's so many people out there who have helpful advice. And, it's feeling like it's a little bit of a community. And that's when I think things changed a bit.
How does this change when COVID happens?
when COVID happened, please let me tell you, when COVID happened, I was on a beach in
Oh, nice.
Florida.
उधर तो नहीं आया.
And the WHO had the second day we arrived, the WHO had just declared it a pandemic.
Oh.
And my husband was off for 5 more days, and we were like, we're living in this house, nobody's with us. What do we do? Do we stay here? Do we leave? Because at that point, again, I think they were about 3,000-ish, 4,000-ish people on my page. And nobody really said anything to me like, pandemic hai, aap beach pe,
Yeah.
binge kar rahi hain.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything to me. But when the pandemic happened, things changed for me in the sense like, now my kids were home. Salim, for the most part, was too, even though he was a frontline worker, but elective cases cancel ho gaye the.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
emergent cases. And this sort of need to keep the morale up, mall to create, was very much felt by content creators in general.
Yeah.
People were now starting to look at Instagram as, what are they cooking? What are they talking about? Is this affecting them on a level which is affecting us? And it was half and half, like I think the conversation was definitely about COVID and how it's so difficult being married to a frontline worker. But I also knew that people were also coming here for like, a tiny bit of not talking about.
Yeah.
And
Good vibes.
Yes, but not toxic good vibes.
Right.
Basically, the struggle every day was what was this? What was being shown? I hate online learning.
Right.
अभी तो मेरी लाइफ ठीक हुई थी यार, तो बच्चे अभी तो स्कूल गए थे, सिर्फ 3 महीने हो रहे हैं और वो घर पे बैठ गए.
Yeah.
मतलब कि the whole vibe sort of just changed from content creation to now suddenly allowing people into your home. And that was not a deliberate attempt, it just happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, COVID definitely
changed. There's this thing now, it doesn't seem to be the same way with your audience, but बहुत सारे जो दूसरे content creators होते हैं ना, who I think this is also people who are famous from the vlogging sort of side of things, right? आज हमने ये किया, आज हमने वो किया, whatever. Unki audience na, after this certain threshold stops being like, oh, we're all nice, we're all friends. Once they cross this threshold where it's like now it's everybody, people they don't know, varna to, even your janne walon ka circle is quite huge. But when it's like fully anonymous people, फिर उनको ना थोड़ा pushback आने लगता है on like छोटी छोटी बातें in their life, कि उल्टे हाथ से खाना खा लिया or some completely minor things.
Totally.
Yeah. Now you were very considerate, okay, bhai, how much of my life am I going to put out there? I'm not going to put out anything. But then this one thing happens where you just confess कि अभी क्या हो रहा है, people really relate to it. At that, does that continue up till now, or what's your balance with, because now what a lot of people are coming to you for is this sort of relatability wali baat, ki you're like a normal person, you're not like some super कुछ तो लोग होते हैं वो तो मतलब उनके millionaire lifestyle से नीचे तो आते ही नहीं ना, वो they're just like ads on your phone. But now you give like lambi stories about just life and mushkilein and shit happening, aaj ye hua kal wo hua, and I'm going through this and that. That's a lot of like internal stuff to be put out there, and agar receive अच्छे से हो रहा है तो ठीक है, but that's not a guarantee. How's that relationship been for you in the past? चलो 2 साल तो हो ही गए तकरीबन.
It's been that's a great question. I feel like I've evolved a lot.
Okay.
From the kind of things I would share till now. I feel like I'm a lot more mindful of when I come in this space and what I share. What I don't think has changed at all is sharing the mundane parts of my life.
Okay.
Going and picking up my dog from daycare is very mundane,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll share it.
Yeah.
It's what's happening today. Um, I don't think personally that in the last 2.5 years of me being in this space have I changed much about that part of my life. I do think a lot about when I'm sharing something personal. Is this sounding like a first world problem?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's, and I always say this, I realize that there's a lot going on in the world, and my showing up every day with my mundane life can seem fickle. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate if you're coming here and spending a few moments of your day with me and my family, that and if it's bringing you happiness, then I just want to say thank you. I don't think I've changed much about that. I think I'm still the exact same person 2.5 years ago who shared that her son's having a hard time at the dentist's office. I've shared some pretty personal stuff on here, not because I want to come across as regular. That's just what I've done in the last 2.5 years. It's made my relationships with people, and it's not a calculated thought
Yeah.
कि यार मैं आज इसके बारे में बात करूंगी और आज मेरा दिल कर रहा है कि मैं ये. It's not at all. It just comes very naturally over here for me to share, but at the same time I do think about, is this coming across as a first world problem? Can somebody be offended by my my relaying of this? And so I think that in that my evolution has just been a little bit more thought into आप मुंह से क्या निकल रहा है.
Because now it's not like Sirf 2,500 is also a big number.
Right.
But it's not that, it's now like much higher. So some people go insane. They're like, bro, bas, itne many followers hai, everything I say, these people love it, and I am amazing. It goes to their head. That happens. But
and to those people, I want to tell you, I have my mother.
Yeah.
My mother will never.
Yeah. वो FedEx कर देंगे जूता.
Yeah. And I tell her a lot of times, I'm like, कभी हमें अच्छा ना फील करने दीजिएगा. कभी हमें फील ना करने दीजिएगा कि हमारा कोई इम्पैक्ट है. अगर हमारी कोई तारीफ करता था बचपन में या कभी भी अभी भी अगर कोई हमारी तारीफ करे, ज्यादा सर पे चढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है. प्लीज जैसे है उनको रहने दे बहन. मैंने बहुत मुश्किल से अपने बच्चे वाले.
Yeah. It's so weird. I read अभी on Twitter कि Ukraine ka jo president hai, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and everyone's really impressed with how he's been dealing with it. Someone spoke to his mother, okay, are you proud of your son or ye wo? She's like, हाँ मेरा दूसरा बेटा डॉक्टर है. Like, oh my god, क्या करे वो? What does he have to do? But
and truly it is like that. It is like that. To those people, I want to say, I will always have my mother, inshallah, in my life, who will always be like the most. ज़्यादा सर पे चढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. I think it's also उसी बात पे I think it's important to bring up a topic of validation.
Sure.
And I learned this sometime in the pandemic when somebody sent me a message saying, I am unfollowing you for your over Punjabi.
Oh.
You are very extra. And you said something along the lines of, Pendu and,
Okay.
And I remember feeling just very sad. And not just sad in the sense of, how dare she call me over or Pendu. It was upset from the thing of, oh my God, do people really think I'm over Punjabi and Pendu? And maybe this person had the guts to say it to me, but do other people feel that way about me, that I'm so over? And does that mean that I have value and I bring value to this space? Because I don't ever want to be in this space and not have value.
Right.
You should share or talk about something that has value, whether that be comedic, whether that be inspirational, or learning to do something. And I remember coming on my stories, and somebody had said something to me about, आप आज बहुत उदास लग रही हैं. And I just remember breaking down and being like, And I realized after the messages started rolling in, nahi, ye bilkul galat baat hai, aap bilkul over nahi hai, I love seeing you. And, the very, very kind from the heart messages from wonderful people who know how to lift somebody up. I realized this is validating me.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a very, very tricky place to be in when
Yeah.
this starts validating you. When you start looking at the follower count and your like count on your post and how many views and how many clicks and how many people have seen your story, when
That's
that
right.
starts validating you, you're in thick shit.
Yeah. Because like दिमाग खराब होना बिल्कुल मुश्किल नहीं है.
It's and when I had to take a step back and I said, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Why did I share that hateful message? Because it started making me feel really uncomfortable to see how much people, were there to lift you up. And I was realizing I did that at a very vulnerable moment. And there
Sure.
is absolutely no harm in somebody lifting you up. That's what a community is for. But I realized then that this was a very tricky slope. And if I'm doing this for validation, then I have seemed to have lost myself somewhere.
Yeah.
And because of that, I no longer share any screenshots of a DM which say nasty things. And trust me, they're there.
Sure. That's
They'll
part
pick
of.
up. They'll pick up on any, and to somebody who needs to get well,
Yeah.
will pick up on anything and will use it as something to hurt you.
Yeah.
And similarly, for that reason, I do not share screenshots of people saying wonderful things
Yeah.
in my stories as a people think I'm great.
Yeah.
Or kind of this person to see it this way. "Hai, ye baal hi nahi sahi ho raha hai." It was so kind of somebody to see it this way. And I so appreciate all of you being here and your love. And I don't need to tell anybody how many messages like that I get on the daily because it's so personal.
Yeah.
In doing that, if I'm sharing this message, and this is entirely on me, I do not mean to make this about anybody else who does this. This is my relationship with social media. I will not have it validate me. And I'm not saying by sharing a message of love and support कि आप अपने आप को validation दे रहे हैं, not at all. But that is my relationship with those messages.
Yeah.
So it took me that moment to be like, I'm not playing this game with myself.
Because it reminds me of this thing. There's this comedian by the name of Bo Burnham. उसका एक कोई था special Netflix पे ना. So he's performing and audience से कोई someone yells out, "I love you," ये वो, जैसे people do when there's a gap. And he's like, that should not be the thing. Like, I'm not your friend. You don't know me. I am providing this as a service to you, which you are paying for.
Yeah.
If that works for you, theek hai. If it doesn't, don't stick with me through thick and thin. We're not that. And to confuse it, which is very easy on this direct connection social media scenario, where he's on stage and that's still separated compared to you, where you're getting the messages directly, comments, likes, shares, all of that. It's very easy for it to go to your head completely.
Oh yeah, I mean, who doesn't like for their content to do great?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like I'm not ever going to say I don't like it.
Sure.
But I do it I think at the crux of it all, I do it for me. I know that there's some things I've posted that have not done that well. There's some things I've said. I mean, at the end of the day, it's for me.
Yeah.
And you know what? If 10 people, 20 people, they come and say something about it, they like it, whatever. Hey, hi, we're friends.
Yeah.
This is really nice of you, but it's not everything I'm going to say and do is going to be loved and appreciated by all.
Yeah.
And that is okay.
And I think if you start falling into that trap of chasing validation, you will most probably lose the authenticity for which people came to you in the first place.
100%.
Because, वो रहेगी नहीं authenticity फिर तो.
100%. And I'll be really honest, I don't have the time.
Right. Yeah.
I schedule this twice.
Yeah.
I don't have the time.
Mm.
Um, I do a lot of things. I wear multiple hats in the day.
Yeah.
And this is fun. And
Mm.
yes, you know what? It's also become work. It's
Yeah.
also become a career. Um, but yeah, it you need to draw lines for yourself mentally and
Yeah.
emotionally
Yeah.
because
I
it just
think
hard.
ये वाली बात जो है ना, I've spoken to also, you might know Shazeen, Desi Wonder
Yes.
Woman, Australia
Yes,
में.
of course. Love
So
her.
she says this, you say this. I think because you guys started when you weren't late teens, when it wasn't everyone's doing
Yeah.
it, hum bhi kar rahe hain, and then they make these realizations when once things have gone too far and there's some sort of meltdown and there's very dramatic emotional stuff. But because you guys started as like full adults with like जिन्होंने दुनिया देखी थी, you came in with your eyes open to a great
Yeah,
extent.
and you know what? I'll always say this about Instagram and content creation. I never started content creation because I felt like something was missing, or
Sure.
there was no representation of somebody like me. I wish that people will having these conversations. I never started Instagram like a public content creation account for that.
Mm.
I did it because of the bravery and courageousness and the wonderful things content creators had already done
Right.
before I came.
Right.
So, Shazeen included, she sort of paved a path
Yeah.
for how to do this
Yeah.
your way, you know? And I'll never forget while, nursing my kids or running around after them or just sitting on the sofa with them, looking at these amazing content creators and being very inspired by them. And that's why I started content creation, because of the path they paved and
Mm.
how they paved it. So for
Yeah.
me, it's never कि यार मैंने करना है because my voice isn't out there and I don't see this being done or represented. I will forever be in awe and of these people who came before me, who paved the way, who continue to stand, beside other content creators, teaching them, putting
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And every day they put stuff out there for us to learn from. और मैं अपने आप को कोई नन्ही काकी नहीं बना रही हूँ इसमें कि ओ मैं भी उनको but I hope that somebody sees the way content creators do things and either just learn from it, or that gives them enough inspiration to add to the conversation.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
always amazing when you're talking about something and other people chime in, and either the conversation moves forward or the context is amplified.
Yeah. अच्छा थोड़ी देर पहले ना you mentioned that this became work and it's become a career, so that's अब एक और मैं segue ढूंढता रहता हूँ मैं बात से बात चुनने के लिए. तो you do this you start late 2019,
Yeah.
2020. When does it start? When do people start getting in touch with you? There's two parts now. When do people start getting in touch with you for branded sponsored work, and how was that? And when you go to Pakistan finally in 2021 ka summer, wahan to phir now you're in direct reach. So how did those experiences occur, change?
The first contract I ever got, and it was always so special to me, was National
Okay.
Masala.
Right.
And a friend of mine had asked me, she's like, do you want to do it? And I'll talk about community of friends on this space later.
Hmm.
But I said, yes. I mean, I've been on the space for, I think, उस वक्त 6 महीने हो रहे थे या ऐसे कुछ हो रहा था. And I said, I'd love to do, sponsored content because I think I'm ready and I would love to do it. So that's my first content that came across my way, was through a friend. And the experience of working with National on a bunch of sponsored videos. First of all, I think my audience is so sweet because I think they all knew मैंने अभी तक कुछ भी नहीं किया था.
Right.
So they all came like guns blazing. Oh my God, your first sponsored work, and can't wait to share the hell out of this, and congratulations. And it was surreal, the experience. And I was so hard on myself. I was like, yes, yes. And if I look back at that content, I'm not the proudest of it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, that was what I knew how to do. मुझे उतना ही आता था.
Yeah.
तो वो बहुत exciting था मेरे लिए when I got that work. I was just on another high that, now I'm starting to work with brands. But then I also realized how exhausting it is to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And then you want it to be perfect. And then the brand comes back and, they just send an email, change it. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
What did you get?
Yeah.
This is a lot of work. And not that I ever thought it was easy, but I don't
know
think,
till you know.
Yeah, the mental fatigue of doing that work was just on another level, because for me, I'm such a perfectionist, and I want the thing to be perfect.
Right.
And then when I went to Pakistan, I think Pakistan's very much evolving we've talked about this. Pakistan's very much still evolving in content work.
Yeah.
And I don't say this lightly.
Right.
I say this after having said no to a lot of work, because either it doesn't resonate with me. I have worked with them before, and I'm still waiting to be paid.
Right.
I think that the way that sometimes work is done in Pakistan is just it's a very yaar, ye kar lo.
Yeah.
Contracts don't exist.
Yeah.
And when I ask for a contract, it says, "Lekin humne WhatsApp pe baat kar li thi." So
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's a contract.
Yeah.
And like, you're sending screenshots of your WhatsApp conversations for how much you've asked to be paid and when the deliverable is. And because I've now worked with other companies based out of here, thoda sa aapko idea hota hai ki there's a proper way to do this.
Yeah.
And there is a more streamlined way of putting everything down on paper and sending an invoice. That doesn't exist in Pakistan.
No.
And when you ask for it, they don't have time to do it.
Yeah. And you're the nuisance.
Oh, yeah. 100%. So then it's like, okay, I will draft a contract. And I will make you sign it, and I will, raise the invoice. तो मुझे लगता है कि पाकिस्तान में अभी there's a long way to go. Idea that some companies will ask you to post something without putting a paid or an ad on it.
Oh yeah. They would rather you didn't. Like, they would strongly prefer that you don't.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Somebody messaged me about putting up something for an award function, a clip. And I said, okay, it doesn't not resonate with me. Sure, I can, pull my twist into it. Sorry. But, I can do my own thing on it, but I just have to tell you that because I'm being paid for it, I'm going to put this. And they said, well, we'd rather you didn't. And I said, but that's unethical.
Yeah.
You're paying me for this, so I have to do it. Oh, but can you not?
मतलब वो वही वाली बात है ना कि आपकी नियत ही shady है फिर.
Yeah, so the idea that contracts don't exist, you want to do work, but you want it to look so organic. You know what? Instagram will be okay if they find out that you were paid for this.
Yeah.
The audience is not dumb. They understand that this is also a money making revenue for you. और अगर आपने उसके ऊपर ad लगाया है, कोई बात नहीं. Nobody is going to be like, oh yaar, इसे देखो. सबको पता है
यार. That used to be the case several years ago. But वो वाली बात अब गुजर, now everyone understands because everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, and I think some content creators are so open about it. Like, hey guys, I'm going to be putting up some sponsored content up next.
Yeah.
Heads up. Thank you so much for being here. That's what it is.
इरफान ने recently कहा था कि भाई देखो मुझे ये लैपटॉप लेना है. तो अगले 1-2 हफ्तों में ना आपको बहुत सारी स्टोरीज नजर आएंगी. I'm just letting you know. और फिर जब आप, and it's done. And audience P was like, ठीक है.
I mean, you are clear and upfront about this, and nobody on this space is just like, why, ho, They all understand कि यार काम हो रहा है. हाँ, वो अलग बात है कि अगर आप किसी और तरीके से, अगर आप किसी और कॉन्टेक्स्ट से हो हाय ये क्या मतलब कि ठीक है, that's another context. If you're upset about them getting work and you're not
Yeah.
getting it,
Yeah.
you're upset about, that's all you're getting to see, that's a totally different story. I get that. So Pakistan mein, I've had to say no to a lot of people because I just, and it was work, and my mother will sometimes be upset with me कि काम को नहीं कहते हैं. But अगर आपकी वो रिलेशनशिप नहीं है, और अगर आप प्रोफेशनल नहीं है, और अगर आप मेरे से काम मांग रहे हैं एज अ फेवर टू यू,
Yeah.
I don't owe anybody any favors. If we're doing work over here and I'm getting paid for it, I'm almost like your employee, right? So
Straight up.
please
Yeah.
treat me with and my work with a little bit of respect.
Yeah. Because then you'd wonder, okay, well, how do they treat their actual employees? Because
100%.
ज़हनियत तो
100%.
वही है.
तो पाकिस्तान में बहुत मजा आया, and I love the opportunity that has come my way, and for the जैसे वो कनौर का ad हुआ था.
Yeah.
But on a whole, I feel like we have a very, very long way to go.
Which is a bit concerning considering कि कितनी जल्दी कितने पैसे are being diverted from TV ads to digital
Yeah.
ads.
And when I tell sometimes my friends who are not content creators, and when I tell them, their minds are blown.
Yeah,
They're
were
like,
you surprised by how much money was being thrown around?
surprise is a small. I was
Right.
shocked. I was
Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
Because it's different when you ask for money over here. You see, you're asking in dollars, and
Huh.
उस वक्त भी, you're a bit. But when you go to Pakistan and you're finding out the quantities,
Yeah.
and you're just a little bit like, no, but
Yeah.
are you? But really,
Yeah.
it's and you know what? I think that's amazing. I think there are brilliant content creators that are homed in Pakistan, and I feel like you need to know your work's value. And because and I say this all the time also, the reason why I don't take on too much, I will do a little bit, and you know what, it's good for me, it pays my bills, but I cannot take on 10-20 projects and be paid this much. आपको अपने काम की वैल्यू पता होनी चाहिए, और फिर आप ये पैसे मांगे.
Yeah.
हाँ, 3 out of 5 will probably not pay you that money, but the 2 might.
Yeah. And that's a standard then.
And then that's your standard.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to come to terms with that.
Huh, because it's not ये artistic pursuits का मसला ये होता है ना कि there's no like objectively definable value के इसमें इतना time लगा, उसकी इतनी rate थी, इतने materials लगे. It's like, what is the value of this thing that this person made?
100%.
And it's hard, so that the value
आप
is.
आपको जब प्रोडक्शन हाउस बनाते हैं तो आप उसके ऊपर वैल्यू नहीं लगा सकते हैं.
Yeah.
There's no way of doing that.
अच्छा, your work, you said शुरू में कि it took you a while to get around the editing thing वगैरह. So now you're doing you're your own everything, right?
Yeah, I'm every woman.
Yeah.
And Whitney Houston.
Yes.
I do everything myself, and that's not to say that I need some pat on the back. I think I deserve 2 slaps on my face, because
Oh no.
it's now come to the point where I need to hire help.
Huh. That's what I was thinking.
I need to hire help. And the problem with that is you have, जब आप जैसे shows देखते हैं, Tinder Swindler and Inventing Anna, I told Salim, I said, हम इतने बड़े skeptics हैं ना.
Yeah.
हम कभी ऐसे गलती ना करते.
Yep.
Because you're skeptics.
Yeah.
You're so skeptical of letting anybody into your private affairs, or just like, I don't know whether. And so every time I think about hiring somebody, so yesterday Salim was just like, but I guess that person going to have your passwords to your work, and I don't know about that, Marium. So
Yeah.
Mental thing holds you back. You're just like, how much am I letting this random, I don't know person into my life, into my email?
Yeah.
Do I want that?
Yeah. You probably need to make खैर वो तो that बात कर सकते हैं हम, but that's also what I was thinking when you mentioned के you weren't the sort of person who would reach out to a brand yourself, okay, we should work together. But that is what managers would do of
Yes,
a
and
creator like yourself.
I think कि आपको करना चाहिए. I
Huh.
think if you are good at what you do, and you think you're good at what you do, then you should. And
Yeah.
I always tell Salim that it's a great opportunity for us to live here. The opportunities you have work-wise and the opportunities I have work-wise, I will not get these opportunities in Pakistan.
Hmm. What's the
I
split वैसे? Sorry, मुझे interrupt किया मैंने. But I was wondering, what's the split between your Pakistan work and your US work in terms of your social
I
media
do
content?
more work. I do more work here.
Right.
But then again, I think I don't do a lot of work.
Sure. Okay.
So,
कहीं मैं गलत ना समझ लूं.
but ये ना हो कि कोई समझ रहा है कि मेरे कोई 15
Right.
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स हैं.
Sure.
I do more work here by choice because you see I still have Desi parents
Yeah.
and I don't have a bank account at home.
Right. Right.
So they're like, अगर तुमने काम उधर करना ही है तो इधर भी बैंक अकाउंट खोलो ताकि तुम्हारे पास सारे पैसे उस बैंक अकाउंट में आए. अब हम ये कर रहे हैं कि ये इसके हैं तो
Yeah.
that also becomes a problem. Like if I'm working for you there,
Yeah.
pay me here.
Yeah, that's when you said no. That's what I was thinking because of living outside of Pakistan, you realize कि पाकिस्तान से बाहर पैसे आना मुश्किल है.
बहुत मुश्किल है.
Yeah.
बहुत मुश्किल है. तो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि यार ठीक है आप अगर एक्सपैट इन्फ्लुएंसर से काम कराना चाहते हैं तो pay us here.
Yeah.
Like you've got to figure out a way. It's very like I haven't lived in Pakistan for 10 years. I don't have bank accounts in
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
Salim doesn't have bank accounts in Pakistan. हमारे अम्मी अब्बू की है लेकिन वो भी कितने रिसीटों को जाके देखेंगे अच्छा इसके ये है तो उस वजह से भी मैं पाकिस्तान में कम काम करती हूँ because I don't get paid there. I don't get paid here.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
money for me over there is, I mean, it's great, but I live here.
I don't know if you can like technically can you have your own bank account in Pakistan when you don't live there?
You can.
Savings account type kuch.
Yeah, you can. The only problem is like, even if you do like a UBL type Roshan bank account over here, आप पाकिस्तान से पैसे नहीं ले सकते हैं. You have to.
हाँ. Yeah. वो पैसे पाकिस्तान में ही रहेंगे.
It's just it gets annoying. So that's another reason why taking on work becomes hard. So therefore
now,
I like more work here.
are you on YouTube? I know you on Instagram.
I'm not on anything else.
अच्छा. Any plans? मतलब अब जो इतना कुछ सीख लिया, इतना कुछ देख लिया.
No. You know what? I have a plan.
Okay.
But to now create more content for a video-based app.
Yeah. No, that's someone you'll hire. No, वो तो you've decided.
Yeah, we've decided that yes, exactly.
Yes.
We're hiring somebody to help me with all these things that are now House of Marium Hosein.
Yeah.
But hard, no. मेरे से TikTok नहीं बनता है. मैं YouTube क्या बनाऊंगी?
Right.
और मुझे लोग कहते हैं like मरियम आप अपने पूरे दिन का vlog YouTube पे लगा दिया करें.
Yeah. अच्छा फिर is there any product expansion के कोई plans?
So वो भी बहुत है.
Yeah.
लेकिन वो दिमाग से पेपर पे ही नहीं आया अभी तक.
Yeah.
It has been. I am not unaware of what my brand means. Let me. If I could just toot my horn for 2 seconds, I'm not unaware of the love and the encouragement and support that I get in my space, which allows me to think on terms of how can I make this into something bigger. But you know what? That doesn't always happen because of many things that are still in flux. My kids take up my 80%.
Yeah.
In order to sit down and put things that I have in my mind in the form of merchandise or in the form of classes, it's so much work, and I want to do whatever I do justice. If I even think about making a product, merch, I don't want to just get somebody from China to do it. I want it to be homegrown. I want it to be ethical. I want to know who's making the clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the sweatshop.
Yeah.
You know, ये भी बात नहीं है कि ये मेरा अपना है और इसलिए मुझे करना है, लेकिन people now look at you because they hope that you will do that. And that's a huge responsibility, and it's not one I take lightly at all.
Yeah.
But finding this unicorn is very difficult.
Like you said, 80% of your day is your kids. It's not like wo dusra
Yeah.
20% farigh hai.
And I hope that I find somebody who would be able to tell me, like, but then I don't know what our market cost is going to be. Again, I don't want to sell a product to somebody for $100 and be like, please buy my hoodie because it cost me $80 to make.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that either. So, and I really feel like I'm at that point in my life where I would like to make product, but I would love to give 100% of the proceeds and everything to a charity of choice. But I need to make sure that I am able to do that.
Okay.
That would be for me my biggest give back to my community. But ये सारी बहुत wonderful बातें हैं सोचना, लेकिन जो मेरे husband एक businessman बनना चाहिए था, he's like, but theoretically, I don't know if that makes sense, Mariam. So, yeah, it's a lot.
It is.
And like I said, my kids take up a lot of my time. So
how old are your kids, Abhi?
I have an 8-year-old and I have a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And I have a 2-year-old dog.
Yeah. So it's a while till either of them are like self-sufficient and doing their own thing.
Yes, and I'm also the parent I'm also their dad on days. I'm also their coach on days. I'm their teacher. I'm the person who's taking them to soccer. I'm doing all those things. And for me, my boundaries are very clear with Instagram. I will try for not to let it, because I'm not always successful, but I will try for that not to let take away from all these things that I need to be for my kids.
Yeah. और मैं ये पूछने वाला था कि how do your kids feel about your Instagram job?
They love it.
Oh, they do? अच्छा.
मेरे बच्चों का बस चले तो वो सारा वक्त इधर अपना the show of Leila and Mikal लगाए रखें. लेकिन they love it. They would come in like, Ryan का YouTube, वो इधर Leila Mikal show खोल ले.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got this toy and it does this and it does that, and then today I'm
Yeah.
My kids, आखिर मेरे ही बच्चे हैं. वो बड़ा शौक है कि हम performances लगाएं.
Yeah.
लेकिन ये बड़ा, it's a very dirty world.
Yeah.
That's where I keep having to draw my own lines with my kids and being like, you are not famous.
Yeah. Yes.
You are not doing this.
Yeah.
Very difficult for me to draw that line sometimes because, they are adorable and they are great at what they do. They make their own vlogs and send them to their dada, dadi, and nana. And
very good.
Yeah, they make their vlogs.
Yeah, very good.
But it's just something I'm not trusting of yet. They love it.
Yeah.
But
also, there's like वो वाली बात भी है ना, where all those kids who are millionaires, because now their channel on YouTube where they're unboxing toys is like enormous, and people are throwing toys at them कि please आप हमारे पैसे ले लें.
बहुत शौक है.
Yeah.
लेकिन मेरा अपना एक वो है कि how much am I allowing them to be in an online space.
Yeah, हमारे ज़माने में this was like the child actor की story थी ना कि अम्मा अब्बा ने push किया क्योंकि हम अमीर हो जाएंगे. They had those motivations, and the future doesn't always turn out great.
Yeah, and for me it's also like, वो जब मैं अपना कभी कभार weekend reel लगाती हूँ, किसी ने मुझे consistency के बारे में पूछा था, and I said, I do not think I'm a consistent person at all. Like,
right.
We used to do family dance reels, and मैं देख रही हूँ कि मेरे बच्चे ना बिल्कुल props पहन के खड़े हो गए हैं, आज हम नाचेंगे.
Yeah.
And I had to take this like bandron ki tarah khade ho gaye, and I had to take this like 2 seconds, and I was like, okay, this is starting to become a job for them.
Yeah.
This is starting to become like, oh, we're doing this for mama, so that mama, and they're like, oh, how many people subscribe to you? उनको terminology
उनको तो
नहीं
पता
आती
है, हाँ बचपन से पता है उनको, like
है बेटा read this back in.
yeah.
कोई जरूरत नहीं है आपको इतना फेमस होने की.
हाँ वही
Figure
वाली
that.
बात है ना, it's so easy, it's in your phone, the people are there, and you just don't realize कि करते you're in a place where you're like, अच्छा, now this is like a bit weird now.
Yeah, you genuinely have to be like, how much of this is the Marium Hosein show, and how much of this is Marium Hosein and co.
Yeah, and did the co
So,
sign up for it? Like,
did the co sign up for it? I know. I was asking Salim this yesterday, and he's like, I think for the last 2 years, it's pretty much I've been your co-star.
yeah. अच्छा, ये सारी बातें तो हमने कर ली ना, कंटेंट वगैरह की और ऑनलाइन की. नाउ फूड, आई एम watching a lot of food videos पिछले 2-3 साल से ना, जब से कोविड हुआ है, और मैं और मेरी बीवी जो है बस लगे होते हैं, 1800 चैनल्स हैं, और लाइक ये करना है वो खाना है. What are your food interests now? अच्छा, if you guys are watching and you're into content, अब आप चले जाएं if you want. I'm just gonna ask her about food stuff now.
Okay.
What is your food stuff that you make in terms of cuisine, quote unquote? What do you like apart from that?
I love comfort food.
Right. Yeah. Best.
Which is not the best thing in a pandemic. With growing sizes, I think that I've had to kind of understand what comfort food is for me. Also, comfort food can't always be like, the loaded pasta. I love comfort food. I love Thai. I love Asian food. I think
Right.
for me, Asian fusion is one of my favorite things to cook. Because it's super satisfying to eat. I cook with what is going to be super satisfying to eat. I love Mediterranean food. Again, super satisfying to eat. You've got the crunchy, the sweet, the salty. Not the biggest fan of American food.
Okay.
Like, I'm not a big burger, pizza. Pizza is an American, but hot dogs, not the biggest. For me, comfort is, desi food.
Yeah.
And I think one of
Do
the
you get
reasons
desi food in your town? Yeah.
unfortunately, no.
Chicago tak jana hota hai.
Chicago is 5 hours from me. St. Louis hardly has any food, but अब हमारे standards भी इतने low हो गए हैं कि मेरा शामी कबाब बनाना is like wow.
Yeah.
You make a dal fry, and you just say, maza aa gaya. आपके standards इतने हो जाते हैं that you just.
But I'm sure what you make is also good.
You know what? I think what I make does the job for satisfying that craving. But if you were to compare it,
okay,
I always say a copycat hai falane restaurant ke, the restaurant is much better.
Yeah, your voice. I see your self-critic situation coming through.
I'm a huge self-critic. I think for me, I try to cover all my own mental bases. Like, please make sure that you say this.
Yeah. When you went to Karachi, abhi December mein or in the summer, any standout food situations?
I am so impressed with home-based cooks.
Yeah.
I mean their level to cook out of your house, to provide a stellar dish, to take the chance and do that from your own home is a lot. And I think some of the foods that I've had from like home-based cooks this year have been phenomenal.
So I'm not aware of this. So in Karachi, people in their homes are making like food for delivery, for sale, as businesses.
As business. And not just, I mean, they are like if you look at Rima, she makes Thai food, right? Rima, I think, has been, if I'm not wrong, has been doing this for almost 2 decades. I don't think I have had better Thai food in my life.
Pakistan, America, dunya, sab mila ke.
She makes phenomenal Thai food. Like, for me, that's one thing when I go back home, I want to have her food. And then of course there's like, my favorites, German Ma ho gaya.
Right.
Um,
Did you make it to Wang Wang?
No, you know what?
We can cut this out later if you decide.
I feel like a lot of things in Karachi become culty.
Yeah. Wang Wang की popularity कम नहीं हो रही. Like they started getting popular in the first lockdown in 2020.
Yeah.
अभी मैं गया हूँ जनवरी में, घंटे की wait है. I was like, इतना अच्छा तो कुछ भी नहीं है.
Have you been to that Coconut Grove restaurant in Hyderabad on Tipu Sultan?
No.
Okay, first of all, it's gorgeous.
अच्छा.
वो Tipu Sultan पे, remember वहाँ habit होता था?
Yeah.
So Tipu Sultan, you come further down, it's become like a promenade, right? There's Xanders,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
there's every single gorgeous Coco Chan, सारी चीजें वो उस road पे हैं. And you come further down and there's this restaurant called Coconut Grove, I think. It is stunning. You cannot believe that आप कराची में वो इतना खूबसूरत है. 3 घंटे.
3 घंटे.
और बाहर उन्होंने वो जैसे शादी हॉल में वो जैसे कुर्सियां लगाते हैं ना लाइन में यूं ऐसे. वहां पे कोई 70 कुर्सियां होंगी for people to sit. And it's packed. It is packed.
Like 3 घंटे में तो you go from lunch to dinner at that.
How do you measure 3 hours?
Yeah, आप मना कर दें कि बस नहीं है.
How do you do that? So no, I did not, and I don't like hot pot.
Right.
For me, it's not something that I crave.
Right. हाँ, ठीक है.
And
you're allowed to say this, yeah.
I also don't understand that.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like in Karachi, everything becomes like culty. For a long time, Xanders was a cult.
Yeah. To the point where
to have a table was very cool.
मैं पाकिस्तान में नहीं रहता था and I would go back during my holiday. Xander नहीं है जगह. Like 2-3 दफा जब नहीं मिली ना तो I became like anti Xanders because I was like, bus, I don't care about this place. And then when I went, 100%. It obviously nothing can live up to this hype. I was like, हाँ ठीक है. तो मतलब इतना क्यों मर रहे थे लोग?
Let me tell you something a friend of mine said, and it was so spot on. He's like, every time I eat at these restaurants, why do I still feel like I would have felt better after eating at hot and spicy?
Yeah, you can't replace that post feeling of satisfaction.
And we'd be like, but we just ate, and I was of course in full agreement, and Salim would be like, we just ate steak and pata nahi kya, and like, yeah man, but I still feel like I would have felt much better after spicy.
Yeah. So, there is something.
Right? So no, I feel like I stick with old school.
Right. Okay. Islamabad. Have you been to Islamabad recently in the past?
I went there in the summer.
Okay. Did you go to Kabul? Have you been to Kabul in your life?
Oh my God, yes. Iconic.
मैं तो पहली दफा गया था and mind explode हो गया मेरा तो. I was like, when they brought out वो जो यखनी type चीज लाते हैं in the mugs at the start, I don't know if that's just a winter thing. I was like, ये यहीं जीत गए. अभी खाना तो आया भी नहीं.
Iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, that food
is
brilliant. And you can tell that it is, वो Anthony Bourdain just restaurants पे जाया करता होता था, वो वाली, you feel like this is one of those places.
Yeah. Marhum.
Brilliant. Have you ever had Savar Pulao?
I have not. People from Karachi tell me it is terrible. People from Islamabad and Pindi say it is lazim.
But what do people in Karachi know about Pulao?
It's not biryani. That's all they know.
I really want to be like, what do people in Karachi know about Pulao? And I know I'm going to get raked over the coals for this, but nobody does biryani like Karachi. That is guaranteed.
Sure.
Nobody. But nobody does Pulao like Savar.
Really?
You have to have it.
Still.
It is mind-blowingly good.
Okay.
You have to have it. And you have to go and you have to ask for the shami kebab and you have to ask for the raita. I mean, it comes in little puris, but you have to ask like 5-6. Because I'm telling you, there's no better pulao on this planet.
Okay. I think my next project at home is going to be, I say this as if I have many cooking projects. 4 चीजें बनाई मैं 2 साल में. But I really, इस दफा कराची जाने के बाद I need to figure out कि sheermal कैसे बनेगी घर पे. We get frozen sheermal.
But
Have you ever had Haji Mehmood man?
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like
when you eat that, how the hell do you have?
it's like it's problematically good. Okay, अब इसके बाद अब हम क्या खाएंगे?
But listen, YouTube is your best friend.
And
There's
YouTube
nothing you
videos.
can't find on YouTube that won't help you
Yeah.
make something wonderful. Like,
Because my wife makes the best nihari in Dublin, which is not to say कि it's that good, but Dublin में options भी कम है. तो
वही
effectively,
कहती हूँ ना, आपके standards जो होते हैं,
yeah.
कहते हैं ये अगर यहाँ नहीं मिलती तो ये this is really good for something that you don't get here.
Yeah. So we've sorted the nihari and bihari kebab situation at home. We just need to figure out अब अगर sheermal भी हो जाए ना तो फिर we will never leave home.
पाकिस्तान जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? I'm good with all my spontaneous, pre-planned जितने भी सवाल थे.
Tell me something. How let's shift the focus to you a bit.
No.
When you started making podcasts, did you ever think about where this would lead? Like, were
No.
there specific people you wanted to talk to?
No. When we started, it was very different as a format. क्योंकि एक तो it was audio only. It started when Patari started in Pakistan.
Right.
So they had a podcast segment and they're like, we need people. मैं यही अभी देख रहा था. People will be surprised to know. Okay, the first episode I sent out was like in the beginning of November 2016. मैं खुद देख के हैरान था कि अच्छा इतना time हो गया. But what had happened was कि after 5-ish years in the UAE, मैं आ गया आयरलैंड और वहाँ मेरे बड़े अच्छे दोस्त बने थे इंक्लूडिंग बेगम साहिबा. So I was like, we can't meet and phone pe baat, whatever, but we were all very Twitter active and उस जमाने में Twitter भी ascendant था. I was like, how can this be captured and we all do something where it's like like a hangout. तो वो सिर्फ वो था. We would do stories और आपस की बातें और
Right.
which has now become the Chalant Crew sessions that you might see on.
I love those. I love those.
So that
the
is
recent conversation about famous O Pizza and that other place in Lahore, which has Khoka Pizza, which is just what is it? What?
Matka pizza or something.
I was like, I have to go to Lahore now.
Yeah.
I love the sessions.
So that's the oldest thing. फिर होता गया 6 महीने. Then Patari had their inevitable situation. और फिर हमने छोड़ दिया करना. हम बड़े depressed हो गए. Then I restarted in like the summer of 2019 and I was like अच्छा Zoom नहीं था उस वक्त, Skype था. And I was like चलो बात करते हैं. फिर early 2020 में I started videos. और फिर COVID हो गया. बहुत सारे other people were at home. A couple other podcasts started. So yeah, then when we restarted in 19, उस वक्त I was like अच्छा यार चलो पहले तो हम सिर्फ इरफान जुनेजो से बात कर रहे थे, who we just stumbled onto when he was just starting.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. Sahi proper artist boy. With all the baggage.
I feel like he's somebody who really values his creative community.
Yeah.
And who always has something to, give out.
हाँ. He has सारे जो artist के pros and cons है ना वो सब हैं इरफान. Yeah. So then we started reaching out to other people and much to my surprise, इरफान की वजह से हमारी काफी validity भी हो गई थी in the online scene. तो सारे जो YouTube के बच्चे थे ना, they knew कि अच्छा हाँ इरफान भाई गए थे इस पे, तो this is like a thing. And also we were the first. I think we're probably the oldest running podcast in Pakistan now.
Right, I was just going to ask you guys.
Probably, before I did this, I only knew of one other podcast. So arguably, potentially, maybe the second. So, बस फिर लोग आते गए. And then I was like, I'll just keep finding anybody I'm interested. Because मेरा मसला ये है कि अच्छा, I see you, Marium is doing this Instagram thing. Setup क्या है इसका? I don't want Mariam's opinions on the world. वो भी आ जाएगा, but like how did she do this? इसका building blocks क्या है? And then maybe if I put this into an episode and someone who's like a fan of hers but didn't know how all this happened, maybe they see this and they're like, अच्छा so then I can also do this. And इस तरह ये चलता रहता है.
do you have other like is when I talk about community, we have, Instagram is full of so many wonderful people. Do you guys have like a podcast community?
Now we do. There are a few, like I said, कि 2020 में कुछ शुरू हुए थे, and some YouTube cycle में ये होता है कि once you become a famous YouTuber अपने बचपन
Hmm.
में vlogs और prank videos और sketch videos बना के अब आप फिर बड़े हो जाते हैं, तो then you're like अच्छा अब हम serious हैं, we're gonna have like podcast conversations. तो ये कुछ हुआ है पाकिस्तान में. There are some famous YouTubers who have their big podcast. There are some other people who have no prior fame and who then started podcast zero se. तो उसमें there's Qazi Akbar, his name is, his show is called Kya Kahe Qazi.
I actually really enjoy it.
हाँ,
It's
तो
very
he-
intense.
yeah.
I feel like if both of us were on a podcast together, we would both be interjecting at
Yeah.
every
Yeah. So he's actually one of the him and then a couple other people who I met abhi Karachi mein. They were pretty much the reason why वो creative community वाली बात ना.
right.
I don't live in Pakistan. And चलो ठीक है हमारे दोस्त हैं, हम इंटरनेट पे बात कर लेते हैं, but it's not really real until you're all in one place and like you're all talking about this sort of stuff together and साथ घूमना फिरना. तो अभी I think I was in Pakistan for 3 weeks and in Karachi for like 5 days. But वो 5 दिन इन लोगों के साथ थे, इरफान, काजी वगैरह सबके साथ, and that was
Are they
the clear highlight.
female podcasters?
Not yet, but if several people have reached out to me कि करते कैसे हैं. Aaj I wrote like a long essay.
Soon.
Sure.
I think you were asking me about project. I think going forward, I think this is something I have very interesting people in my life.
Yeah.
And I love conversation.
And
I think I would like to maybe do just like a limited series podcast.
Why not? And Zoom pe to it's so easy. Like this is you have your setup. You look visible, you're clear, सब कुछ आवाज भी सही है, घर में अभी खामोशी है, कुछ बच्चे नहीं है.
वही है ना वो time.
I mean, you can इतना time तो शायद दिन में शायद निकल आए, आधा घंटा,
No, I
एक
think
घंटा.
it's about prioritizing and making sure that. Okay, last question. Do you have? Everybody has like a list of who would love to interview.
Right.
Do you have a list of a couple of people that you would love to like?
Acha, I'm not sure if this is gonna end up in the final episode.
That's fine. We're just chatting.
Lekin I've been after Misha Shafi and Zulfi for like more than a year now. And it's gotten to the point with like bas karte hain, but like wo bhi farig to nahi hai na. Matlab it's not like they're not.
They're also producing and acting and singing. Ye bhi hai.
So, but abhi Pakistan jaake na actually, it's that thing where I don't know, you might relate to this because you also live outside of Pakistan, but you have a lot of constant connection with Pakistan.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a point where you start feeling like alone-ish.
Yeah.
We are like यार सब तो वहाँ हो रहा है ना, मतलब कितना इंटरनेट में सब कनेक्ट हो गया, but कितना होगा. So it's Pakistan जाके अभी that was sort of confirmed but also alleviated, where I was like हाँ Pakistan में scene है and it would be better if I was there just for this.
Yeah.
But that sort of experience overall was still like inspiring enough. You're like, acha yaar, kabhi kabhi you're like, shit yaar, who cares? But you're like, chalo ye dost to hai na. I mean, maybe if we keep connecting and keep doing stuff, it'll mean something. So hopefully.
So those two people on your list, Zulfi and
Zulfi के लिए तो मैं सोच रहा हूँ, मैं I'll start threatening him कि बस मैं लाहौर आ रहा हूँ. अच्छा नहीं, you don't have time for Zoom. I'll come to you. Just make it happen.
That's a great idea. I think I think it's been a little bit of a controversial season, but with the couple of things that I've read and heard, I think it would be very interesting to have a sit down. But then on the other hand, I don't know. I look at these greats of our music industry, people that we listen to as like our anthems. And obviously I can see where you can see where I'm going with this. And I'm just like, so was it all a lie?
Yeah. उनसे मुझे नहीं करनी बात. Yeah.
What really, like, I don't know. It's such a complicated situation to be in. And you know what's even more complicated? Let me tell you something. What's more
Hmm.
complicated is when you're in this space as a feminist,
Hmm.
as somebody who openly talks about violence, media, life's happenings, events, global political unrest. Everybody expects you to have an opinion,
Yeah, yeah.
and everybody's watching you. I had liked something on this singer's page. I did not know what was happening.
Huh, huh, huh. Can't
Background
believe.
of the story was unknown to me.
Huh.
And I had a couple of people, two, three, message me to say, hey, it was very disappointing to see you go like
Yeah, yeah.
post,
Can't believe you're
given what's
supporting
happening.
them. Yeah.
And given how, you're always such a strong proponent for
Huh.
women's rights. But then I realized that you probably don't know what's happening. And I
Acha,
was so grateful.
they understood.
I was so grateful for that leeway because I truly didn't know what was happening.
Huh, huh.
The need to be correct and be on the right side of things is immense.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
what people sometimes don't realize is a lot of times when stuff has happened in Pakistan or outside Pakistan, I go AWOL.
Huh.
It's my ammunition. I mean, even when Salim and I are having an argument, I'll just shut down. I want to talk to you. Um, and people, including sometimes my husband, take that as, so now you have nothing else. Now you have nothing to say. Now all of a sudden you're just quiet.
Right.
I there's a quotation and I forget. Sometimes it's better to be quiet to understand rather than listen to speak.
Hmm.
Listen to understand rather than listen to speak.
Right.
And a lot of times I feel like I need to shut down and sort of listen to understand everything that's going on, because no one in the history of being in a public space or private space has or ever gotten it right.
Huh. Huh. Obviously.
But the pressure sometimes to get it
Oh,
right,
expectation to.
it's immense.
Yeah. My
And
running joke is इरफान जुनेजो ने कश्मीर पे वीडियो क्यों नहीं बनाई ब्रो आई मीन इतनी उसको लोगों ने बातें सुनाई थी उसको एंड ही इज लाइक आई डोंट हैव एनीथिंग टू से ये लें दीज आर द न्यूज़ सोर्सेज नहीं तुम वीडियो बनाओ
why
अदरवाइज
haven't you said something
हाँ
about
इंडिया
this?
से तुम्हारे पैसे आते हैं इसलिए तुमने नहीं बनाए एंड ही इज लाइक
And it's
व्हाट
yeah, anything that happens in the country, people will tell me, oh, but you voted for Biden. First of all, I can't vote. But
yeah yeah
yeah, did I want him over Trump?
I mean
I did.
yeah
But what's to say historically the US has ever, been good on the Middle Eastern front?
yeah
But people will sort of, and this person probably hasn't talked to me in 10 months, ever since the last election, but you wanted this. But it's
yeah
like you can want all these things and you can hope for a great global situation, but it won't always happen.
yeah
But the idea that you have to be bang on,
every time
and I say this all the time, I'm not going to get it right.
huh
And I don't mean to hurt anybody with this, but and if you are, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of pressure on, for now, I will just use the term content creators to say something, to be something. And there are a lot of people who don't play that game. There are a lot of people who are like, I'm just a food blogger. You want to go to a news source? Go to a news source.
yeah
Don't expect to be in this space and be like, oh, why aren't you saying something? But you see, the problem is now I'm like awami, na? Now I like talk about
yeah
everything.
yeah yeah
So the problem then happens like, but talk about everything else.
yeah नहीं वो
Where
वाली बात है ना कि this is also एक तो इंटरनेट पे आर्ग्यूमेंट्स में न्यूआंस तो खत्म हो गया there's no room for it you have to be right regardless of अगले का opinion क्या है everybody individually has to think you're right otherwise your life is going to be a problem and also just because internet पे it is possible to access theoretically all the information in the world doesn't mean कि मैंने Google कर लिया means I know what the situation is and now I am an expert but people do believe this कि हमने WhatsApp पे ये पढ़ लिया तो बस अब ये सच है, या हमने YouTube पे कोई वीडियो देख ली and why does Mariam not agree with
like
me?
it took me a long time to understand death penalties.
Right.
After it took me a long time to understand, am I a supporter of the death penalty? And I think we as we as people love to see abuse being punished very
Sure.
strong.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, hum chahte hain, not
Visible
just
justice.
yeah, we want and usually we want to do that for public pressure.
Huh.
And when that kind of outburst doesn't come out by some people, which is just like hang them,
Yeah.
people are sort of thinking, oh, you're very lukewarm on this.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to see
Yeah.
this happen? So sort of the understanding that your understanding of, say, the death penalty is a very different understanding to yours, and I'm really trying to process in my head if I support it or not. It's not, everybody doesn't like, they want that sort of vitriol to come
Uh-huh.
out.
Yeah, yeah. Extreme emotions.
And वो तो खैर आप सिर्फ अपने हस्बैंड को दिखा सकते हैं ना, extreme गुस्से में होते हैं, that you can only just few people. So
Yeah, yeah.
to everybody who's also watching our stories, I don't believe that everybody only shows a highlight reel, or यार हम सिर्फ अपनी perfect pictures दिखाते हैं और perfect घर दिखाते हैं. I do feel like tons of us show up in this space completely imperfect, saying stupid things just for the sake of connection. But एक आप अपनी like full on लड़ाई तो नहीं दिखा सकते अपने हस्बैंड के साथ, और
Yeah.
आप अपने बच्चों को डांट रहे हो, और आप वो तो नहीं दिखा सकते हैं ना कि आप फिर कोई कहेगा कि why are you publicly shaming them.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't show a lot of things. तो ये बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है कभी कभार, because
Yeah.
when people आप रियल नहीं है.
Not really. Yeah, yeah. There's no winning with everybody. And also, I mean, you also have to teach yourself that, you can't please everyone. Because
Oh, and I came to that conclusion a long time ago.
yeah, yeah.
I came to that conclusion a long time ago कि सबको please करना तो मतलब ये कहना कि you are not chocolate cake, you can't please everybody. Everybody doesn't like chocolate cake.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife doesn't like chocolate. Yeah.
So you can't. I think the best thing that you can do is just sort of live by the motto of being just kind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's okay sometimes to shut up.
Yeah. Our
Have nothing.
podcast our podcast motto used to be just be nice. But now it's like just be normal. Bro, just chill karo. It's fine. Just be
Yeah.
okay. And that's like the simplest but also the most impossible thing for people to do. Like what would a normal person say or do in this situation? Bas
But
aap wo
that's
kar le.
But that's also because we're all sometimes to a little bit blamed for this standard that sometimes people feel like they have to live up to or be.
Yeah.
And that's, we've all put people in boxes. And when you step out of that box into another box, it's hard to.
Yeah.
So what's normal really is very different for everybody else. But we have declared normal as, somebody who's very easy to talk to. So it's a little bit on all of us also for what we have made normal.
Yeah, that's true.
But this was a
Before we go, I have to
Yeah.
ask. I don't think you do, but do you have any Jinn stories?
Do you know how terrified I am?
I understood from your comment.
No, like
Koi sune
I'll never
sunaye.
forget that.
No pressure. Most people don't.
I think one time my grandmother told me this story, and I was just I still sometimes feel कभी कभार मैं dressing table देखती हूँ. She told me that have you ever felt, आपको कभी महसूस हुआ है कि कोई है नीवारी?
Yeah.
एक दफा का बताते, because my grandmother lived in Kasur और उनका ना वहाँ हवेली होती थी.
Right.
मेरी साडी हवेली होंदी सी उसदे अंदर मैं कहना नु एक specific.
Yeah.
So she mentioned to me how she was lying with the kids in bed, and suddenly she was completely frozen. She couldn't move, but all she saw was कि कोई dressing table कोई ड्रेसिंग टेबल को ऑलमोस्ट लाइक ऐसे करके टच करके क्रेस करके उस तरफ जा रहा है, काला जाएगा सी।
Always.
कोई और
Always.
कलर
Yeah.
मतलब के for
Yeah.
us काला
Yeah.
जाएगा सी। मैंने आज तक याद है
Mm.
मैं हिल नहीं सकती सा। And to me, I always like, if I ever like आंख रात में खुलती है और मेरी ड्रेसिंग टेबल सामने होती है, मैं हमेशा सोचती हूँ जिन ना हो अगर ऐसे करता हुआ कुछ छेड़ता हुआ।
Fashion focused.
That image of a jinn at a dressing table just touching the table and going, it's in my head.
Amazing.
Now every time I half open, I'm like, शायद मुझे भी नजर आ जाएगा।
Yeah.
know how genetics work. नानू को नजर आया था, मुझे नजर आ रहा है।
There's a connection. हाँ, ठीक
No,
है.
I cannot. I didn't buy a house in this place because I was like, I walked out of there, said Celine, there was something over there.
Vibes.
Yeah, and Celine's like, what? I said, I don't want to talk about it, but there was something very, very specific in that house. And I feel like ये जो घर lakes के ऊपर होते हैं and all, कैसे हो सकता है कि उधर ना हो? It's, I mean, हर movie जिसमें जिन है, वहाँ lake है.
Yeah. I mean, आपका logic is undeniable. Yeah.
It's unmatched. And if you ever have a basement that was, इस तरीके से stairs जा रही हैं, वो वाली light है.
Yeah. 3-4 murders तो हुए होंगे उधर. हाँ. I mean.
Exactly. You never always trust what you have seen.
Yeah.
Will never lie to you.
Marium Hosein.
That is my
much.
story.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was an honor. Thank you.
I think you have one link, but if there's any other, आप मुझे बता दीजिएगा, मैं डाल दूंगा in the description. Instagram, like anything.
I just have Instagram.
हाँ. YouTube
but
अगर आप बना लें.
I will put this up in my own link tree.
Oh, sure. वो तो खैर अभी इधर 1-2 हफ्ते हैं till this comes out.
Yeah, whenever. And we can I'd even love to do like a small little excerpt like you put and put on my, it'll be very cool.
Whatever you need, हम आपको पूरी episode पैकेज में डाल के भेज देंगे, whatever you want.
ये तो मेरी टूर होगी ना जब मैं ये अपने फैमिली को भेजूंगी. Please check out, I have a podcast on all podcasts.
Yeah. इसके बाद बस, I mean, this is a good dry run for you. हमारे साथ तो आपने कर लिया, बस your phone is going to be ringing.
I don't think so. And also I'm very comfortable. I find myself, I put my guard up. But because I've seen so much of your work, I feel like this would be a very easy conversation to have. But if I don't know you, then I don't know how far I can go in terms of conversation. So I like to keep it a little bit hold back. But just watch how I'm going to make this viral on all my family. I'm like, watch it.
Zurur. And
interesting things I'm saying.
I think I told you, right, that your dad has an amazing mustache.
Listen.
Please. मैंने इसमें भी डाल दिया.
At this for life, my mother tells him you can never take it off because I don't want to see your lips.
Yeah. And on that note, I think हम यही खत्म करते हैं episode. Thank you for watching. Links. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And I look forward to all these podcasts that you have on your list.
Yes.
I really hope it happens.
Yes. And come back. जब भी कभी.
When I have something interesting to say, which is not often, but I will.
ये कभी ऐसी. मतलब, I mean, we're. Yeah.
So then we can pick specific topics.
As you wish. ठीक है जी. Okay, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Take care. Bye.